Hey there, Aquarius. Welcome to your reading for the week of June 2nd. We are going to jump right in here. You have this black cat. It says your luck will change soon. You also have the sun. It says your perseverance is rewarded. So that looks amazing. This definitely could be good luck. I will say that this week has been like more positive, which is good. You know, I thought that last week, the week of the 26th, was going to be really positive, but I was very wrong. So not that it was negative, but it just seemed like people were kind of wrapping up challenges or dealing with things. This week has been much more positive, which makes sense, based off the astrology. It's far from perfect, so I'll say that, but I definitely think things are could be improving on a personal level, which is good, of course. You start with the Ace of Swords, the Ten of Pentacles, and the Three of Pentacles. I mean, they say that your wealth is in your health, Aquarius, but I would say that your wealth is going to be in your truth with the Ace of Swords. I mean, how many readings do I have to do that basically say that you need to move closer to the truth? And, I think that's really maybe what it's about for Aquarius, is like living their truth and things like that. So, I've basically beaten a dead horse here because I've been talking to you about this for like a month, but I think anything you can do to get closer to your truth is going to be very important. It's like about living honestly, not saying that you're a liar, of course, but it's about making sure that you're not doing the things that you don't want to be doing in life, and making sure that you are, kind of living a life more of truth and being laser-like focused on it, right? The Ace of Swords is about laser-like focus. I do like the Ace of Swords here because I think, the Ace of Swords is overcoming obstacles. The sword is above these mountains here, and it does say that you could be overcoming some sort of obstacle or challenge. I think I said to you recently as well that, some of you could be claiming some sort of crown. So this could be like some sort of authority that you're gaining in life, or you could be like leveling up. I think, again, I said this as well, so sorry if I'm repeating myself, but it's important. I really think that Aquarius needs to look at like the reflections in your life. And what I mean by that is, it's like, let's say you're working for a business, a career, and you're saying to yourself, I could do better at this, then I could do better than my boss. I think the Ace of Swords is saying, yes, you can, but you have to go and claim that crown. Like, you have to do the things to either get a position as a boss, or you have to start your own company, or you have to do your own thing, or, the list goes on and on there. Those are only a couple of examples of, kind of how Aquarius has the opportunity to really boss up at this time. But I think admitting that truth to yourself, that you are better or that you can do better, is part of the process here. You have the Ten of Pentacles. Like I said, I think your wealth is in your truth with the Ten of Pentacles. Ten of Pentacles is everything you want and desire in your life. And I have been saying for years now that, with Uranus and Taurus, it's all this. To me, the Ten of Pentacles kind of is Uranus and Taurus, even though it's not, but it kind of is, because this is like something that Uranus and Taurus would love, building this type of security in life. Uranus and Taurus has a focus on freedom as well, and there is a certain level of freedom that goes along with the Ten of Pentacles. So Ten of Pentacles would be like you having your perfect life, whatever that is. And, do we ever get our perfect life? Of course not. But, as I always say, I think working towards it is a worthy goal. So I think a lot of you need to kind of like fill in those gaps and look at the things that you don't have that you want, and then start learning how you can get them. The other thing is, I would really pay attention here, Aquarius. I think this is probably true for all air signs, but it's like the Ten of Pentacles has an alternative meaning. The main meaning is kind of like wealth, obviously, and inheritance, because we have this older man here, and, he can represent kind of like the inheritance to this family. But there's another meaning, that this family has just had a baby, and this guy here is actually a beggar, and he is coming and he's giving them a gift. So the Ten of Pentacles can represent receiving something from an unlikely source. Again, he is a person who has nothing to give, who is giving something. So I think sometimes that the Ten of Pentacles, and again, this isn't accurate tarot, but whatever, I think sometimes, and I feel sometimes, that the Ten of Pentacles is really saying, we need to pay attention to things that like aren't being said. We also need to be training our brain to look for answers to problems, but not even problems, like also good things as well. Like you could be trying to improve something that's already going well. And if you tell your brain to look at something or to look for something, it will find it. You know, one of my favorite books of all time is Psycho-Cybernetics. And literally like the whole gist of that book is that you tell your subconscious you're looking for an answer to something and it will find it, right? And so I kind of feel that on the Ten of Pentacles, to like pay attention to everything at this time, because there could be answers to a lot of things, not just problems, but everything, and that could increase your wealth. But that doesn't even have to be financially. That could be wealth of any kind. You have the Three of Pentacles. Yeah, Three of Pentacles is about quality work. With Pluto moving into Aquarius, it is time for you to put yourself on display. This is where the rubber meets the road for you, Aquarius. This is where all those things that you say you can do, you have to do those things. And it's not really like you're proving it, but, in a lot of ways, I think it's time to do what you say with the Three of Pentacles and put it on display. You will probably get credit. You will probably stand out. You will probably, get a lot of attention. I think it would be an amazing time as well for you to look at how you communicate. Like, are you, communicating effectively that leads to getting attention, or are there ways that you could improve your communication, like in work and business and love, in your health, how you communicate to yourself, and are there different ways that you can communicate to get a better result? And I don't know. You're gonna have to answer that question. But I would look at your communication and how you communicate to the world, which we communicate even with the way we dress and the way we look and all that other stuff, right? And I feel like there's something about that with the Three of Pentacles. It's like saying the way you communicate is important. It's not even a card of communication, but that's what's popping into my head. With the Ace of Swords, you have the Empress. Yeah, a lot of abundance, so really good. A lot of people this week have had these cards of gaining abundance or increasing abundance, so you definitely could be increasing your earnings here. The Empress also says you're very attractive at this time, Aquarius, so if you want love, I would definitely put yourself out there. With the Ten of Pentacles, you have the Eight of Cups. I think a lot of people are doing this, especially Capricorn and Aquarius, because we had Pluto go from Capricorn to Aquarius. You could be realizing that like one Ten of Pentacles really isn't your Ten of Pentacles, and the truth you're admitting to yourself is that you have to walk away from one to get to the other. And so, I think we can have multiple dreams in life. And it's like when I was younger, I don't know, I wanted to be everything. I wanted to be a doctor, I wanted to be a cop, I wanted to be a chef, and all this other stuff, right? And so I basically wanted to be every single job. And what I would say here is that it's like sometimes we have to experience it and we have to realize it. So like when I was younger, I got a job working as a chef at a cafe, and you know what? The thing I realized is I freaking hated it. I love cooking, but I hate doing it for a living, like to make money. And so it's just a hobby for me, and that's what I had to realize. So it's like I had to walk away from it to find out what I really wanted to do. And I kind of feel that for some of you, where it's like you could be walking away from something that you thought you wanted that you don't really want. With the Three of Pentacles, you have the King of Wands. Yes, only the bold will survive. I mean, it's an uncomfortable truth. All this energy moving into Aries. The people who are willing to be initiators at this time are going to be very successful. So we have to start things under Aries. Aries, like I said, is the initiator. It is the match that being struck, the match kind of lighting off. The trick with the Aries energy is that Aries itself, some like astrology books will say that Aries is good at starting things, but they're not good at finishing things. So when we strike a match, when we start something over the next 14 freaking years, probably longer, we need to make sure that we keep putting wood on the fire. Like the things that we feed are going to grow. The things that we don't feed, that is actually, it's not even a bad thing, right? It's like if you start something and you have a hard time putting wood on the fire, you probably just don't want to do it. Just that simple, right? So it's not even a bad thing. We just have to be honest with ourselves with the Ace of Swords, and we have to say, I don't even want to work on this thing. I can't get motivated. I can't get up off the couch, so I probably just don't want to do it, and I probably just need to find something else. But, I think the King of Wands is talking about that bold, assertive energy. Next, in the area of what's coming in for you, you have this Blessed Ideas card. It says, allow your ideas to come to fruition, and they will bring many blessings. Yes. You have this delicate rose. It says, be willing to honestly say what you feel, no matter how terrifying it may seem. Like, literally, that's what I said at the beginning of the reading, is that you have to be willing to speak up. You know, you have to be willing to say what you want, or, you know, something. And this could just be about admitting it to yourself. I'm pretty sure that I said this in your June monthly reading that I just did, is that you have to say it's more about admitting this to yourself. There's no one you have to tell these things to, so I would admit it. Really good time for ideas, especially, you know, Ace of Swords, King of Wands, Six of Wands, really good. You actually go from the Six of Wands to the Six of Cups, and I love 2 6s. So 2 6s to me says you're going the right direction, you're doing the right things, and, you know, that's what I would be doing with that energy, is, you know, moving towards your ideas. You have the King of Cups, the Seven of Swords, and the Six of Wands. We are still kind of like in an emotional time. So the King of Cups has explored his emotions to a very deep level, and he is sitting in these choppy waters, but he is perfectly fine. I've been saying for months as well that I think the King of Cups and the Knight of Cups, you don't have the Knight of Cups here, I'm just saying that the King of Cups kind of represents the time we're in. There could be chaos going on around us, but as long as we explore our emotions and we slow things down and we explore how we feel about things and we trust our good feelings, then things will go well. So I think this is saying trust your feelings. You have the Seven of Swords. Everything is different. We have to do everything that we want to do in a different way. And this has been coming up for years. I've been warning people about this because things have changed. And the Seven of Swords, he's going to war, but in a different way. He is stealing these swords from this army in the background. Probably one of the more critical things to understand at this time, that our approach has to change to the things that we're doing. And because things have changed. Things are changing. And the Seven of Swords is kind of a card of being tactical and thinking tactically. I think the people who are willing or able to see other ways of doing everything in life are obviously going to have a good time. So you are an Aquarius. You are an innovator. Trust your innovative ideas because they will lead to success. The other problem I see is taking things too seriously. On both the Three of Pentacles and the Seven of Swords here, we have 2 people that have polka dots on their cloak. Polka dots in the tarot represent taking things too seriously and needing to be more playful. So I do think that there's just like a lot of seriousness. I think there's a lot of worry as well for people. Sorry, I grabbed the wrong card. But I think there's a lot of worrying about the future. And, like another card that I see a lot, you don't have it, but I'm just saying, is the Queen of Pentacles. She really focuses on that pentacle that she's holding. You know, she's not focusing on everything else. So I think focus with the Ace of Swords is going to be important. You have the Six of Wands. Six of Wands is like a victory, success, being celebrated. So if you're creating anything at this time, and you're putting it out into the world, like you're showing off your skills or you're showing off things that you've created, it could be a really good time for you here, Aquarius. We also have 2 6s going this direction. So 2 6s is a definite yes, or it's basically says you're going in the right direction. It's confirmation for your path or confirmation for what you are doing in your life at this time. So I would just keep moving. With the King of Cups, you have the Moon, which you have twice. Again, this is like the fear of the future. The Moon is part of the Fool's journey, and he has to get from here to here, but he's not exactly sure how he's going to accomplish this goal or get down this path that's on this card. But he has to, the whole point of this card is that he has to figure it out. He has to go on the journey and kind of like learn as he goes along. And as long as he does that, he will be fine. I think part of the trick for you is going to be balance. We have the Ace of Swords. The Ace of Swords is perfectly balanced. We have this Dog and Wolf, Dog and Coyote, whichever you prefer. And this kind of represents balancing out your wild side and your domestic side, right? Like kind of like balancing out those 2 energies, being willing to go wild and explore new ideas, have new adventures, be a little bit rebellious, but also have the other side balanced as well. And so I think as long as you balance things out, things will go well. With the Seven of Swords, you have the Temperance card. We go from Temperance to Temperance here. Temperance is about mixing things together. I've been saying this for a long time as well, that I think the people who are going to be very successful in the future are going to be people who can mix 2 different things together. And so I know that's not very helpful, but anything you're working on. It's like, how can you innovate by mixing ideas, right? And that's what I would do right here. One of my favorite books of all time. It might be my favorite book, but it's Skip the Line. Although Psycho-Cybernetics might be my favorite book of all time. But Skip the Line by James Altucher. He talks about idea sex, like two ideas. The best ideas in the world are always like two things mixing together, right? And so I kind of feel that here. The Temperance card is about mixing two things together. So you might be able to innovate in your life by looking at things that you're working on and seeing how they can work together or play together or whatever. With the Six of Wands, you have the Seven of Cups. Yeah, a ton of dreamy energy this week. A lot of people have had the Seven of Cups, and it could be people dreaming or daydreaming or imagining. We need to get out of this for sure. It is time for action with Saturn and Neptune in Aries. Even though they're going to retrograde out of Aries this year, it doesn't really matter. I think that now is the time. I kind of feel like people will get one more chance to start something new. And that doesn't mean you're never going to get a chance again. I'm just saying, like, it's a good time, like, that you want to take advantage of this, right? And that, the next chance will probably come in February of next year when Saturn goes back into Aries next year in 2026. But, I would start now. I wouldn't wait till next year, especially if you're dreaming of something. Next, in the area of messages from your future self, you have this card. It says, you know the way. It says, trust your intuition on this journey. You have 2 sixes, which is your journey and, your path. It's like you already know. You have this get lost card. It says, fall deep into the realm of imagination. So I think that's true that you need to embrace your imagination. But, with Neptune having been in Pisces for the last 14 years, I think you probably have already had enough imagination. It's like you've probably done enough dreaming, enough daydreaming, enough imagining like what you want your life to look like and all that other stuff. So it's like, yeah, sure, imagine, but you can imagine at this time as long as you have the imagination and then do something to bring it down to earth. And, that's what I would do here. The other thing is this card says you already know what to do. So really there's like nothing to imagine. You have the Temperance card, the Six of Cups, and the Four of Pentacles. Temperance is a card of patience. I think you have been patient. Temperance, sometimes I think this angel is trying to perfect their position. They're kind of like pouring these cups back and forth, trying to turn water into wine. But they have this path right here. This is the path to glory, and there is a crown, which we said at the beginning of the reading, that it's like you need to claim your crown again, which I'm pretty sure I said in one of your last readings. And, there's like some sort of authority that you could be claiming in your life. It could be over your own life. It could be a business position, like getting a management role or, getting a new job or something. It could just be you claiming authority over yourself, like I said. And, I think now is the time with the Temperance card. You have the Six of Cups. Six of Cups can represent a turnaround. Six of Cups can be kind of like an innocence, nostalgia, thinking about the past. But sometimes I think the Six of Cups is a gift from the universe. And usually the gift we receive is a turnaround, meaning we've been bumping up against an obstacle and we can overcome the obstacle. So you start with the Ace of Swords. And, it definitely looks to me like a lot of you could be overcoming some obstacles here. I would be careful playing it too safe. She has this like mitten on, and it looks like an oven mitt to me, Aquarius, this mitt that she has on her hand. And like sometimes, again, I feel that the Six of Cups can say that you're being too delicate. You're trying to play it too safe in the things that you're doing. And of course, I wouldn't do anything super dangerous. That's not what we're talking about here. But what we're talking about is taking bigger risks on the things that you're like building and working on, putting them out into the world more, getting more feedback, taking more chances, things like that. You have the Four of Pentacles. I actually feel pretty good about this based off the reading. Four of Pentacles, sometimes I like it, sometimes I don't. And in your reading, I feel you are building financial security. So, I think that just in general, you could be doing things to build financial security. I don't really feel much about it. I would be careful of comfort zones that are a reflection here as well, Aquarius. So, the one warning I will give you is that if you're, in something like a work project or, like a business project, or if you're working with other people, and if you are not in a leadership position in that role, then I would be careful of that with this card. With the Temperance card, you have the Ten of Cups. I mean, Ten of Cups is like fortune after difficulty. The whole entire reading is kind of giving off fortune after difficulty vibes. It can also be like happy home, happy family. So this is pretty good for those of you that are looking for love. Well, here you go. With the Six of Cups, you have the Star. It is a very good reading, Aquarius. The Star is you. The Star, whenever you show up as yourself, puts you in a position of power and strength and allows you to get what you want from the reading. So I feel a lot of you could really be, just kind of getting what you want. Stars, hope, faith, renewal. And there could be a lot of happiness with these three cards: Ten of Cups, Six of Cups, Star. These are all cards of, increasing happiness or experiencing, just better energies. With the Four of Pentacles, you have the Page of Swords. I would be, of course, I think it's a great time for exploration. We just had that full moon in Scorpio in the middle of May. And even though we're past that full moon, doesn't matter. I still think it's a great time to explore new ideas. So with the Four of Pentacles, that would be about expanding your finances. And the Page of Swords just says, ask questions. I look at the Page of Swords like a child, who asks why. Just a billion times, right? And so it might be a good time for you to ask why a million billion times in your life. And, that's what I would do with the Page of Swords. Next, in the area of the good stuff, you have the Celebration card, which is great. And here you go. You have this Take a Risk card. Yeah, there probably is some sort of little risk that you have to take to have a celebration. It's coming up in the good stuff. So, again, a lot of you probably are going to be taking a risk that you will be celebrating here, which is good. You have the Moon, the Nine of Swords, and the Page of Pentacles. The Moon in the good stuff represents clarity. The Moon is part of the Fool's journey, but it represents like fears, fantasies, illusions, not seeing things clearly. If you've ever been outside on a full moon, it's like you can see, but there are all these shadows around you. And the Moon in the good stuff could say that those shadows, those illusions, the things that aren't real are kind of clearing. Now, it makes perfect sense to me. I mean, I've been talking about this since 2016, literally, that Neptune in Pisces is an illusion. Neptune in Pisces is not necessarily bad, but it's kind of like a time of not the truth. And so a lot of things that happen around us, it's like we have to discover the truth. We have to be the ones to figure out if something's true or not. And now that Neptune's moving into Aries, it's like we can finally get the truth on our situation. You have the Nine of Swords. Again, Nine of Swords in the good stuff would say you are ending a negative cycle, which is great. This is, to me, the Nine of Swords, everybody always worries about the Tower, but I'm always like, no, the Nine of Swords is the worst card in the tarot, plain and simple. So, I think that in a lot of ways this is good because it says you are ending a negative cycle. The reason I really don't like the Nine of Swords is because he is in pain, but he's not in enough pain to make a change. So he's just staying in this situation. But I feel a lot of you could be seeing something that's causing pain in your life, even if it's like a little bit, and you are ending the cycle, which is good. You have the Page of Pentacles, new. Obviously this week and last week, if you're watching this the week of the 2nd, but if you're watching this, I'm going to be publishing this on the 29th. Then, again, even if you're watching this early, you could be thinking about new things. It makes sense because of all the Aries energy. With the Moon, you have the Five of Pentacles. Yeah, Five of Pentacles is normally calling attention to your weaknesses. This to me looks like starting to believe that something is possible. Like, I feel like that's what's happening here, is that you could be starting to believe that something you don't think you can have, that you can have it. And it could definitely be attached to your wealth. The solution to the Five of Pentacles is to focus on your strengths. But it's coming up in the good stuff, so, I think you are focusing on your strengths. With the Nine of Swords, yes, you have the World. World literally is ending a cycle or accomplishing something, but with the Nine of Swords, it could just say that you are ending some sort of difficult cycle. With the Page of Pentacles, you have the Four of Wands. Four of Wands can be marriage. I wouldn't really call this a love reading. I think it's all about you. This reading, Aquarius, I think that you are focused on making changes. The Four of Wands is really a card of freedom. So it's a card of setting yourself free or doing things to set yourself free. And so I think a lot of you could be kind of just setting yourself free with this card. You have this cat card that says a two-faced friend. Yes, Aquarius, for like the past few months, I've been talking to you about being careful of the people you surround yourself with. It's almost like the universe is, trying to say like, hey, this person is no good. And so if you have a person that you feel like is no good in your life, I would be careful. This has been a theme for you for a couple of months. And there's something about like a reflection. It's like, but I wish I had I wish I had something better to say about that, because it's almost like you see this person and like you would do things differently. So that's why for the past few months, I've been saying that this feels like work to me. It's like maybe your boss makes really bad calls and you are thinking to yourself, I would do that differently. And I feel if you have a person like that in your life, you need to be careful. You have this handshake card. It says meeting with a stranger could be important. People are very important right now. I've been saying to you as well, that focusing on those connections that push you up, people who come from a position of love, that's what you need to focus on. But you could be meeting new people. You have this April card and this Apple card. It says temptation will test you. There could have been some sort of temptation back in the month of April. But again, you could be seeing how someone is a snake right now since April. Maybe you've been dealing with this person since that time. You have this boot card. It says increase your efforts if you want to achieve your goals. Yes, definitely a good time to put the work in here, Aquarius, and do what you have to do to be successful or to reach those new heights. You have this pineapple. It says reconciliation on it. This card is not like reconciliation, like a person coming back from the past. This is like reconciliation, as in the universe is kind of like paying you back for work that you've done. So a lot of you could be kind of getting results for work in the past, or you could be, it's almost like not really karma, but I think if you've done a bunch of work or done some good things, you could be getting that energy back. But pretty straightforward, pretty good here, Aquarius. I like it. So thank you for being here and definitely enjoy your week.